Bismillah. Factorization and how to use factorization method of solving to solve the SAT question. Before we go to the factorization, all what we have to understand how we use the factorization. If you have a question for factorization, there is some steps before you go to the question. First step is to count the number of terms. And before the counting the number of terms, you should look about the highest common factor. For example, 3x power 5 minus 12x power 3 plus 6x power 2. We can notice that 3 and 12 and 6, the three terms here are all of them divisible by 3. So I can take 3 as highest common factor. And x power 5, x power 3, x power 2, so I'm taking x to the smallest power. And the smallest power here is x power 2. So after writing x power 2 or 3x power 2 outside the bracket, I'm opening a bracket. And then I start dividing. X power 5 divided x power 2 give me x power 3. 12 divided by 3 is give me 4. X power 3 divided x power 2 is give me x. And 6 divided by 3 gives me 2. I have 3 terms outside the highest common factor, outside the bracket. So I should have 3 terms inside the bracket. So if I have 3 terms outside the bracket, I should have 3 terms inside the bracket. So the first step that you are doing while you are solving factorization, before start any factorization, is the highest common factor. And a big percentage of the question in SAT is solved by using the highest common factor. Second thing is to count the number of terms. If you have 2 terms and the sign between them is negative, this is called difference of 2 squares. So difference of 2 squares is 2 terms only. The first term is a square, like x squared, or 4, or 16, because 4 is 2 by 2, 16 is 4 by 4. And the second term is y squared, or 16, or 25, 5 by 5. So this is called difference, because the sign should be negative, between 2 squares. And to solve the difference between 2 squares, all what I have to do is open 2 brackets. One of them is positive, and the other one is negative. One of them is positive, and the other one is negative. The first one, x squared, is x by x. So I write here x and write here x. The second one is y squared. So I write here y and I write there y. That's it. This is called difference of 2 squares. Another example. How many terms here? 2 terms. There is any highest common factor? No. Why? Because 4 and 9, both of them are not divisible by a common factor. X power 2 and y power 4, both of them, there is no common factor. So I make sure first that there is no common factor. I go and do the factorization. The factorize of 4 is 2 times 2. And the factorize of 9 is 3 by 3. Factorize of x squared is x times x. And factorize of 9 is 3 by 3. And notice that one of the brackets is positive and the other is negative. And it doesn't matter which one you start with. So notice in the first example, I start with the negative, but in the second example, I start with the positive. And it doesn't matter which one you are going to start with. But for the third example, if I wrote for you another example here, x squared or 2x squared minus 8. 2x squared minus 8, I can't say that it's a difference of 2 squares. Why? Because there isn't any number multiply itself give me 2, or there isn't any number multiply itself give me 8. So I should think of the highest common factor first. And the highest common factor between 2 and 8 is 2. Then I open bracket. X squared, 2x squared divided by 2 is x squared. And 8 divided by 2 is 4. Now, after I took the highest common factor, I can factorize this to difference of 2 squares, x minus 2 and x plus 2. Then we'll go to the 4 terms before the 3 terms. If you count the number of terms and you found that there are 4 terms, this is called factorizing by grouping. Factorizing by grouping. And I mean by grouping that I'm going to collect each 2 terms together. I mean by grouping that I'm going to collect each 2 terms together. For example, ax plus ay minus bx minus by. So I'm going to collect the first two terms, ax and ay together, and take a as a highest common factor. And collect by and bx together and taking b as a highest common factor. But notice that if the sign is negative here, negative multiplied by positive is negative. So I changed the sign inside the bracket. And after taking the highest common factor, a and b, the bracket in both terms should be the same. It should be the same. Then I will take this bracket as a highest common factor, and the remainder of the first term is a, and the remainder of the second term is b. Again, so by grouping, collect the first two terms together, collect the second two terms together. Take the highest common factor of the two terms a, take the highest common factor of the two terms b. Then take a highest common factor as a bracket. The remainder here is a, and the remainder here is b. So I change it from factorize, which is adding and subtracting between terms, into multiplication. So factorization here is a change it from the situation of adding and subtracting expressions to multiplying two expressions. Now I have another example. X power 3 minus 5x squared minus 2x, or plus 2x minus 10. Minus what? Minus 10. And how to solve this one? I'm going to write the first two terms together. X power 3 minus 5x power 2 plus 2x minus 10. Notice that the sign here is positive. I didn't change anything. Then x power 3 and 5x power 2, I'm going to take x squared as highest common factor. The remainder is x minus 5. 2x minus 10, the highest common factor is 2. And the remainder is x minus 5. So I have the same term and the same bracket, x minus 5. So I write down one bracket, and then the remainder is x squared plus 2, x squared plus 2. So if it's 4 terms, it's called factorizing by grouping. Factorizing by grouping. Now, let's go to how to factorize the trinomial. And I mean by trinomial 3 terms. And most of the questions will be x squared. And you are going to solve this section or these questions in section 3. So you are going to need the factorization in section 3 without using calculator, so you can find the solution set of the equation. Sorry. The first one, the sign of the third term. As we can see, the sign of the third term here is positive. This sign is decide what is the sign inside the bracket and decide what I'm looking for. First, I'm looking for two numbers, their product is 6. I'm looking for two numbers, their product is 6. And I have two values. 1 by 6 is the first value, or 2 by 3. 1 by 6 or 2 by 3. Which one of them that their sum is equal to 5? Of course, 1 plus 6 here, their sum is equal to 7. But 2 plus 3, their sum is equal to 5. So I'm going to choose 2 by 3. Third step, I'm going to open two brackets. The both brackets take the sign of the middle. Sign of the middle is negative, so both bracket takes negative. And I can put 2 and 3 with no order. I can put the 3 here, 2 there, or 2 here and 3 there. It doesn't matter the order here. So if the last sign is positive, I'm looking for two numbers. The product equal to the last number, and their sum equal to the middle number. And both terms take the sign of the middle. Both terms take the sign of the middle term, So again, last sign is positive. Two brackets, both of them are following the sign of the middle. I'm looking for two numbers, their product 6, and the sum is 5. What if the last sign is negative? In this case, I'm looking for two numbers. The product is 6, like 2 and 3. 2 and 3. Their product is 6, but the difference between them is not equal to 5. Here, I'm looking for the difference. So if the last sign is positive, I'm looking for the sum. But if the last sign is negative, I'm looking for the difference. So I'm going to choose 6 and 1. And here, you gotta be patient. You gotta put the greatest, which is 6, with the sign of the middle. If the sign of the middle is positive and 6 is the greatest number, I put it with positive. And the other number I put is negative. So in case of negative, it's 2 brackets. One is positive and the other is negative. One is positive and the other is negative. And the greatest number of the difference, take the sign of the middle. Find two numbers, their product equal to the last term, and the difference equal to the middle. The big number or the largest number takes the sign of the middle. Take the sign of the middle. I changed the value of the middle here. Again, two numbers, the product is 6 and 1. But 6 in this case will take the sign of negative. Why? Because the middle sign here is negative. The middle sign here is negative. This is how to factorize a trinomial, but when the coefficient of x squared is 1. Notice that the 3 examples I solved right now, the coefficient here was 1. Factorize each of the following. The first example here is 4x squared plus 20x. And the first step you need to do for factorization is the highest common factor. 4 and 20, both of them divisible by 4. X power 2 and x power 1, the smallest is x power 1. So it's 4x. Divide, give you x plus 5. For the second one, 18, 12, and 6. The highest common factor is 6. X power 2, x power 3, x power 5, the smallest power is x power 2. Then I divide it. 18 divided by 6 is 3. Subtract the power. 5 minus 2 is 3, so x power 3. Minus 12 divided by 6 is 2. Subtract the power, so it's x. Plus 6 divided by 6 is 1. X squared divided by x squared is 1. Notice that I have 3 terms outside and I have 3 terms inside here. And this is x power 3. I'm not going to factorize more. For question number 3, the first step I'm going to write is looking for the highest common factor. X squared and 9, there is no highest common factor. So second thing, I'm going to count the number of terms. There are 2 terms and the sign between them minus. So it's a difference of 2 squares. One of them is plus and the other one is negative. So x and x, 3 and 3. That's it. For number 4, 25x squared minus 16. 25 and 16, there is no highest common factor. And 25 is 5 by 5. And the x squared is x by x. And 16 is 4 by 4. So now it's a difference of 2 squares. Open 2 brackets. One of them is negative and the other is positive. 25 is 5 multiplied by 5. 5 multiplied by 5. And x squared is x multiplied by x. Sorry, I did a mistake here. 16 is 4 times 4, is 4 times 4. So the final answer is 5x minus 4 and 5x plus 4. For number 5, I'm going to follow the steps. Highest common factor, 3 and 27. The highest common factor is 3. X power 4, y power 2, there is no highest common factor. So I'm going to open bracket. 3x power 4 divided by 3 is x to the power of 4. Minus 27 divided by 3 is 9. And y squared. This bracket is difference of 2 squares. So x squared minus 3y and x squared plus 3y. Why? Because 9 is 3 by 3. Y squared, y times y. X power 4 is x squared times x squared. And notice that this one is not a difference of 2 squares. So I'm going to keep the answer like this. Number 6 and 7. As I can see, it's a trinomial and the coefficient here is 1. There is a big difference between trinomial. The coefficient of x squared is not 1 and the coefficient of x squared is 1. Since the last sign is positive, I'm going to open two brackets, and both the brackets going to take the sign of the middle, plus and plus.
11
So
plus
x and x, two numbers, their product is 11. It's 1 and 11. So here is 1 and there 11. And it doesn't matter if you write the 11 here and the 1 there. Now, for the second one, number 7, last sign is always positive here. So I'm going to open two brackets, and both of them take the sign of the middle, negative and negative. Two numbers, their product is 24. I have 1 by 24, 2 by 12, 3 by 8, and 6 by 4. Which couple of numbers that their sum is equal to 11? I will figure it out that it's 3 and 8. So x and x, 3 and 8. And it doesn't matter where is the 3 and where is the 8. For solving trinomial, if the last sign is negative, for the first one, I'm going to open two brackets. One of them is positive and the other one is negative. X and x. Looking for two numbers, their product is 16. 1 by 16, 2 by 8, 4 by 4. Which one of them, the difference is 6? We can notice that it's 2 and 8. Now 8 will be written with the positive. Why? Take the sign of the middle. And 2 with the negative. For the second one, open two brackets. One is negative and the other is positive. And the order doesn't matter. Looking for two numbers, their product 56. 1 by 56, 2 by 28, 4, 7 by 8. Not to waste your time. The greatest one is 8. So take the sign of the middle. So in this case, I will put 8 here and x, 7 and x. So notice in the first one, I add 8 to the positive sign because it's the greatest, but in the next one, I add 8 to the negative one. For question number 10, I'm going to start the first step with highest common factor. By taking 2x as a highest common factor, it's going to be x squared plus 7x plus 12. Then I'm going to open two brackets. Last sign is positive, so both of them like the middle, positive and positive, x and x. Two numbers, their product is 12 and the sum is 7. I think it's clear. It's a 3 and 4 because 3 by 4 is equal to 12 and 3 plus 4 is equal to 7. Number 11. In number 11, I can see that it's negative, positive, negative, and the coefficient of x squared is negative. If you can't solve and the coefficient of x squared is negative, take negative as a highest common factor and change the sign of the three terms. So x squared minus 8x and plus 16. And this one can be factorized to x minus 4 and x minus 4. And also can be written as x minus 4 all to the power of 2 since it's the same bracket. Right. How I can factorize a trinomial that the coefficient of x squared is not 1. The coefficient of x squared is not 1. Coefficient of x squared is not 1. In this case, you are going to open two brackets. 3x squared, of course, it's a 3x and x. Why? Because x here, 3 here is a prime number. Now, it's a 3x and x. The 2 and the 1, you can add it as 2 and 1 or 1 with 2. Let's find the means and the extremes. Means here is 2 and extremes is 3. What is the difference? Because the last sign here is difference. What is the difference between 3 and 2? We will find that the difference between 3 and 2 is 1, not 5. So I'm going to cancel the first choice. Let's go to the second choice. 1 by x is 1x, and 3 by 2 is 6x. And the difference between 6x and 1x is 5x. So here is the right choice. Let's go to the sign. Which is greater? 6x is 1x. The greater is 6x. So take the sign of the middle, and the sign of the middle is positive. So I put the sign here is positive, and I put the sign here negative. Again, another example of how to factorize the trinomial that the coefficient of x, its coefficient of x is not 1. I'm going to open two brackets. Mr. Hisham, this is x power 4 and the half of x power 4 is x power 2. So we are dealing with it as it's x squared, a quadratic function. So this one is 2x and x. And this one is 2x and x. But for 5, it could be 5 and 1 or 1 and 5. The means here is 5x and the extremes is 2x. And the difference between them is 3. So here is the one I'm looking for. Which is greater, 5x or 2x? The greater is 5x. So take the sign of the middle. And if it's the mean, you put the sign here. But for the extreme, you put the sign there. And you're going to cancel. This is a simple method of solving the trinomial that its coefficient is not equal to 1 in the SAT. And the numbers come in SAT as a prime numbers, 2, 3, 5, 7, easy to be found. How we are solving factorization questions in SAT. Generally, you will never find a question in SAT that says factorize. But you should figure it out by using your mind that you are going to use factorization while you are solving. And maybe not. Some of the students using the choices to solve the questions. For example, number 1. In number 1, it says that x is equal y minus 1. What is the value of 2 times x minus 2 times y? You can say that, Mr. Hisham, I'm going to replace x with y minus 1. So it's 2 times y minus 1 minus 2y. Then I'm going to expand. So it's 2y minus 2 minus 2y. Negative 2 is positive 2. So the answer is negative 2. Where is the factorization here? The factorization here, if one of the students think that 2x minus 2y, by taking two highest common factors, so it's x minus y. By taking the highest common factor 2, it's x minus y. And I know that from this equation that x minus y is equal to negative 1. So it's 2 multiplied by negative 1, which is equal to negative. So you can solve it by replacement, or you can solve it by the highest common factor. Let's go to number 3. Which of the following is equivalent, it means equal, to the expression shown above? As we can see, this is 9, 12, and 4. Of course, I'm going to cancel B and I'm going to cancel D. Why? Because when you expand the bracket to the power of 4, it gives you 5 terms. 5 terms. And as we can see at the front of us, that it's only 3 terms. And I'm going to cancel C. Why? Because 9 to the power of 2 is 81. And as we can see here, it's 9. So the right answer is A. So sometimes the question is factorization. You may find one of the teachers just to say open two brackets. The first one is 3x or 3a squared. The second one 3a squared, and then 2b and 2b square and square. Both of them are positive, which can be written as 3a squared plus 2b squared all to the power of 2. It's okay. It's not wrong. But sometimes you gotta use that choices. It's one of the skills of working or techniques of solving the SAT. Number 2, which two in order? Which of the following is equal to 6x minus x minus? If you feel weaknesses or some weaknesses points in solving the trinomial or factorizing the trinomial, you can try by expand the one that we have studied in the session of the polynomial. You can start by multiplying 6x by x, 6x by 7, which is 42x. Negative 1 by x, negative x. Negative 1 by 7, which is negative 7. So it's 6x squared. By adding this, it's positive 41x minus 7. As we can see, it's not the middle term. So I'm going to cancel it. And so on. If you're good in factorization, you can start by factorize. 6x squared can be written as 3x and 2x. Then 7. 7 is a prime number. It's 7 and 1. I will try to write the 7 here and the 1 there. 3 by 1 is 3x. 2 by 7 is 14. And the difference between 14 and 3 is 11. Sign of the greatest. So the right answer is D. So this kind of questions, it will not ask you to factorize, and you can use the expand. Number 4. This is called algebraic fractions because you have a function up and down. And in these questions, as we can see, I didn't say factorize, but to simplify these two terms, you need to use factorization. First step of factorization here, I'm going to take 6 and 8, 2 as a highest common factor. X bar 3 and x bar 2, I'm going to take x bar 2, the smallest power. Then the remainder is 3x plus 4. In the denominator, I have 6 and 4, so 2 as a highest common factor. X squared and x, so x is highest common factor. 6x squared divided by 2x is 3x plus 2. Okay, so I can cancel the 2 with 2. I can cancel one of the power with x. So the remainder will be x multiplied 3x plus 4 divided 3x plus 2. So the question didn't ask about factorization, but you cannot solve without using factorization. For number 5, it's an amazing question. It collected all kinds of factorization: highest common factor, difference of two squares, factorized trinomial. So let's do it step by step. First step, I have x squared, x bar 3. I'm going to take x as highest common factor. So the remainder is x squared plus 3x minus 10. Down, I'm going to take 2 as highest common factor. So it's x squared minus 4. Then up, I'm going to factorize trinomial. The last sign is negative, so one is positive and one is negative, x and x. Two numbers, the product is 10 and the difference is 3, 2 by 5. Which one is the greatest? 5. So positive 5 and negative 2. Down, x squared minus 4 is difference of two squares, x minus 2 and x plus 2. By cancel x minus 2, I will figure out that the answer is B. Regarding number 7, it didn't say any kind of factorization. But if you look carefully at this one, you will find that you can take xy as a highest common factor, because this is x squared and x, y and y squared. X squared divided x is x, and y give me 1, minus y squared divided by y is y. So it's a product between xy and x minus y. What is xy? It's 7. What is x minus y? It's 5. What is 7 by 5? It's 35. So here I used the highest common factor, but in number 5, I have used all the kind of factorization. Number 6, if t is a number that it's greater than 1 positive, then t squared is how much greater than t? T squared is how much greater than t? So it's t squared minus t. By taking the highest common factor, so I have t minus 1. So the right answer is D. So also highest common factor. Number 8, p minus q over 2 is equal to 3. And rp minus rq is equal to 12. Then what is the value of r? Look carefully here. You will find that you can cross multiply between 2 and 3. So p minus q is equal to 2 by 3, which is equal to 6. And look carefully here, highest common factor, which is equal to r. So it's p minus q equal to 12. And we already figured out that p minus q is 6. So what the number that multiplied by 6 give me 12? It's 2. The number that multiplied by 12 by 6 give me 12 is 2. You may find these questions a little bit difficult for you, but this is how the question comes with factorization in SAT. By practicing, you will figure out the answer, inshallah. Now, number 9. 3a plus 4b is equal to. What if I move the b inside? So it's 4b minus b is equal to 0. So it's 3a plus 3b is equal to 0. If I take 3 as highest common factor, so a plus b is equal to 0. Dividing by 3, so a plus b equal to 0. So if I multiply 6a and 6b, it will give me also 0. Another solution. Let me write it in red for you. 3a plus 4b is equal to 0, so I may move the b to the other side. So it's b minus 4b. So 3a is equal negative 3b. So a is equal negative b. And in case of you have two numbers, both of them is additive inverse of the other, so their sum is always equal to 0. So the right answer is equal to 0. So I use the highest common factor, or I can use only solving equation. Find the sum of these two equations. For the students who's watching the recording, please pause before each question very carefully and then start with correcting yourself. The sum, it means adding of a over a square minus b square and b over a square minus b square. I have same denominator, so a square minus b square, and the denominator is a plus b. The denominator is highest common factor, so it's a minus b multiply a plus b, and above a plus b. If I cancel a plus b, the numerator will be 1, and the denominator is a minus b. So the right answer is A. Number 10. This one is difference of two squares, x squared minus y squared, which can be written as x minus y and x plus y. This product is equal to 10. And the sum of x plus y is equal to 5. So what do you think the sum of, or the difference between x minus y is gonna be? Is very good for the students writing the answer in the chat. So x minus y will be 10 divided by 5, which is equal to 2. For number 12, which of the following is the correct factorization? X squared minus 15x plus 56. As you can see in number 1, that both of them are negative. And we know that if the last sign is positive, both of them like the middle. So I am sure that the right answer is. Question number 30. 6x squared minus 2x minus 20. First, I will take the highest common factor between them, which is 2. 6x squared divided by 2 is 3. Negative 2x divided by 2 is negative x. Negative 20 divided by 2 is negative 10. 2, I will open two brackets. 3 is a prime number, so it's a 3x and x. Then I'm looking for two numbers. The product will be 10, but the difference will be 1. So let's try 5 and 2. Why, Mr. Hisham? 3 times 2 is 6x. 5 times 1 is 5x. And the difference between 6 and 5 is minus 1. And the greatest, which is 6x, take the sign of the middle. So this will be negative, and this will be positive. So the answer is B. By the way, you can use the expand method to try which answer is right. Regarding number 15, which of the following is the correct answer? Negative 60m squared plus 15n squared. Clearly, the answer is not A or B. Why, Mr. Hisham? Because if you multiply 15 by 2 and 15 by 2 to the power of 2, it will never give you negative. And clearly, the answer is not C. Why, Mr. Hisham? Because any bracket to the power of 2 give you 3 terms. And here I have only 2 terms. And if you took negative 15 as highest common factor, the remainder will be 4m squared minus n squared, which can be factorized to 2m minus n and 2m plus n. Question number 14. If you have negative outside the trinomial, I prefer if you can take it outside as highest common factor and change the sign of the bracket. So it's y squared minus y minus 6. Then I will open two brackets, y and y. Last sign is negative, so one is positive and one is negative. Two numbers, their product is 6 and the difference is 1. I know that 6 is 6 by 1 and 2 by 3. Difference between 2 and 3 is 1. Which number is the greatest? It's the 3. So it's 3 and 2. The greatest take the sign of the number. So the right answer is C. As we can see in question number 16, which factorization equivalent to the given 4x squared minus 19 and the last sign is negative 5. You can start by expand, multiply 4x by x, 4x squared, and 4x by negative 5, negative 20x, and positive 1x, and negative 5. And this is give you the right answer, so you are lucky. If it's not, you can go to factorization or you can go to the next with the third step. Okay? Okay. Regarding number 17. As we can see, number 17 and 18, we have 4 terms. And to solve the 4 terms, all what you have to do is to write the first 2 terms in a bracket and the next 2 terms in another bracket. So it's x power 3 plus x squared. And then minus, so I'm going to write negative 25x and change the sign of 25 from negative to positive. Taking x squared, so it's x plus 1. Negative, taking 25 as highest common factor, so it's x plus 1. X plus 1 and x plus 1, so it's x plus 1 as highest common factor. And x squared minus 25, these 2 terms. Then it's x plus 1, and this one is difference of 2 squares, x minus 5 and x plus 5. So the right answer is B. Now, I give you 1 minute to try to solve number 18. Regarding question number 18, I'm going to write z to the power of 3 minus 7z squared in a bracket. Take negative outside for 4z and change the sign of 28. Then taking z squared as highest common factor, so it's going to be z minus 7. Taking 4 as highest common factor, it's going to be z minus 7. I have the same bracket, so z minus 7 and z squared minus 4. This one is difference of 2 squared, so z minus 7 times z minus 2 and z plus 2. So the right answer is